The City Commission is back in session, and I would like to say good evening and thank you for sticking with us. Our recruiter and HR director shared application material of 5 candidates, all of whom requested confidentiality. The commission had already approved a job description that contained minimum qualifications. None of the other applicants met the minimum qualifications contained within the job description. The candidate we have decided to interview tonight clearly met the minimum qualifications, and we're looking forward to interviewing with him. The process for this evening is as follows. Mr. Kim will briefly introduce himself to us, and then I will ask him a couple of questions to begin the process. Each commissioner will then have an opportunity to ask a question, and then we will begin deliberations. And in an effort to keep things moving along, I'd like to invite Mr. William Kim to tell us a little bit about himself. That's your first test.
I guess let me start with just introducing myself and kind of my background. My name is William Kim. I'm currently serving as the city attorney for the City of Flint. My legal career started with the state of Michigan in the office, what was then the Office of Financial Insurance Regulation. By the time I had graduated from law school, it became the Department of Insurance Financial Services. From there, I went to the city of Lansing, where I was an assistant city attorney in their city attorney's office there, primarily assigned as the legal advisor to the Lansing Police Department, but I also handled the criminal prosecution duties as well as civil litigation as well in state and federal court. From there, I went to the City of Flint, where I was initially hired as an assistant city attorney with that office, primarily assigned to federal civil litigation. And that's where I've been since 2015. I became the city attorney for Flint in 2022 and have been serving in that role for the last 2.5 years.
Thank you. So our first question tonight is to please summarize your specialization and experience that would enhance your role as the city attorney.
To the extent that there's a specialization, municipal law is, tends to be a generalist practice. But to the extent that I've specialized in things, I would say that first as civil rights litigation for the various municipalities I've worked for, and that's kind of worked with my role as legal advisor to the Lansing Police Department, later to the Flint Police Department. As a lot of police issues involve giving them advice and counsel on various civil rights issues with the people that they deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you. And then the city attorney is hired by and reports to the city commission, but is also expected to work successfully with the city manager and department heads. How do you envision yourself navigating these relationships and contributing to the city's overall success?
I think that's something I've been having to do my entire career. Regardless of the municipality, the city attorney's office basically is there to serve the legal needs of city government. First and foremost, it's elected officials, but from there, in their professional roles to the rest of city government and the departments involved. So I've always seen my role as basically supporting those of both the elected officials who are creating and setting forth the policies, and then the various staff departments. I call them line departments myself, but the ones who are actually tasked with carrying out those policies to hopefully better the lives of our residents.
Thank you. And I believe we'll just go down to Commissioner Ballard and we'll work our way around the dais. So Commissioner Ballard, would you like to begin the questioning?
I would, and I'm gonna have 2. So do you want me to wait and come around for the second question?
Well,
or you can
yeah.
finish the one and then.
Why don't we finish the one
another
and
one.
yes,
Okay.
We'll finish the one.
So my first question I have for you is, what is your working knowledge of the Freedom of Information Act and the Open Meetings Act?
Well, it's basically something that I've dealt with at least weekly, if not daily in a lot of cases. From my initial position as an assistant city attorney in Lansing, I was acted as a FOIA coordinator for the city. In addition to to that as in Flint. It's similarly, our office is tasked with processing FOIA requests for the city and providing advice to the rest of city government on responding to those requests in a, in a timely and legal fashion. In regards to the Open Meetings Act, particularly as one of my duties currently is to attend city council meetings in Flint and to ensure that the city is basically following the rules and the statutes for the Open Meetings Act. Sure. Like I said, I started out with litigation, both at the city of Lansing and with the city of Flint. I've done both criminal prosecution and civil litigation. Kind of on when I came to Flint, it was it was the spring of 2015, which, if you're familiar with the events that occurred that year, the Flint water crisis pretty much broke about 5 months after I joined the city attorney's office there. Because I had actually not joined that office until after the emergency managers had left, I was the only person in the office who wasn't conflicted out as a fact witness in those cases. So I, with our outside counsel, led the city's legal response to all the litigation that the city faced for the next, that was basically probably about, 2/3 or 3/4 of my responsibility for the next 5 years was dealing with those litigation matters.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Lance?
Welcome. I graduated in 2004 from MSU Law. Congratulations to you.
Thank you, sir.
So what about our community attracts you? Why here? Why do you want to be here?
I think when I saw that the position was open, I reviewed the materials that were kind of available, both about the position and about the city. And one of the things I think that impressed me the most was actually within the city manager's section of the website and kind of the plan, I guess, strategic plan for kind of the priorities for her office, which I understand came through discussions and was set by you as the city commission. I found that to be very impressive in terms of, kind of both setting forth concrete goals for that the city was working for, and also kind of at the same time setting like the high level, intentions of the city for the way that you saw the city moving forward and developing the city for the future.
And what would you say about our community? I mean, forget about the job. What attracts you about Battle Creek?
Well, I've been living in Michigan since basically I was 18, and it's a beautiful community here. I like did earlier today, some of the staff took me on a kind of tour of different neighborhoods in the city. And I was really impressed by the variety of neighborhoods and communities within the city that are at the same time cohesive part of the whole here that I was seeing. So.
Thank you.
Commissioner Morris?
Thank you. Could you please share your experience in drafting or reviewing ordinances for a city or municipality?
Sure. I've drafted a number of ordinances, or either both as amendments to current ordinances and creating ones from scratch. It's a fairly straightforward process. I found the tricky part is really working with, most of the time I'm working with either senior staff from the line departments or with council members who have their, want to introduce an ordinance on a certain topic to make sure that I understand kind of what it is they're trying to accomplish. Sometimes, that may be different than their initial proposal for what they actually want to do. But if I can understand what they can accomplish, I can A, make sure that what they're trying to accomplish will actually happen, and B, sometimes there are restrictions that prevent doing something in a certain way, but there are alternatives available, or there may just be alternatives available that may be more cost effective, or may have be simpler to implement without creating complications. So,
Thank you.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
I got two parts to this question. What's one of your biggest obstacles you've had to overcome where you've gotten today? And then after that, how did you overcome this obstacle?
Obstacles to get to where I am today in terms of, just, I guess, are there particular kinds of obstacles that you're looking at, or just general challenges that are being
Like
faced?
a life experience, or just something at work that you feel that was a little more challenging that you overcame and showed your true strengths, and like who helped you or that type of thing?
Well, I guess kind of the most recent, I guess, general professional challenge is, I understand it's being faced also by, staff here. Recruiting new staff has been really challenging since COVID. It's just the labor market, I guess, if you want to call it that, or just recruiting staff has been really challenging. Salaries are increasing in the private sector, which people understand that when they come work for government, that you're not going to be making private sector wages, but we're still competing for, in a lot of cases, the same pool of staff. And so trying to make sure that we are staying reasonably competitive and reaching out to staff who may not have otherwise heard, normally been seeking government work, has been a challenge, and that we've had to overcome, that I've had to overcome in my office. I'm happy to say that various times we've both managed to staff up to, our authorized strength, and had times where we've been below that and had to put additional efforts to recruiting necessary staff. So it's kind of one of those things you have to just deal with as it comes. And when something that you're doing isn't working, it's try to find some other way to reach out to the people or target audience to get the job done.
Yeah, we're having that same situation at all levels of recruitment, of getting good staff here. So thank you for your answer.
Commissioner Reynolds?
Oh, sure. I thought you were going to go next. Welcome, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
As a new city commission, or excuse me, as a new city attorney, how would you build rapport and foster relationships with the city commission? And what strategies would you use to handle conflict between the city commissioners and the city departments?
Okay, well, that's a two-part question.
It is. I'm sorry. Would you like for me to repeat the first one?
No,
Okay.
I understand. First part would be building rapport with the city commission in general, and the commissioners, I guess, individually as a specific thing.
Yes.
I've always felt it was important to keep those open lines of communication with my city council or my electeds in my prior positions. I guess I can't force anybody to talk to me, and that may also be a policy choice by a member of the commission. But I can always try to make sure that my door is open. My phones are there to take the call, to at least discuss, whatever the priorities are, what the concerns are. In terms of trying to, I guess, mediate or resolve conflicts between commissioners and city staff, I guess it's hard to say that without kind of a more specific kind of factual situation, because that's going to be very dependent upon, I guess, what the issue is or what the source of the conflict is. There may be times where, I guess, just kind of drawing on my own experience with similar things, where one of my city council members may have wanted to get something particular done and felt that one of the line departments was not being sufficiently responsive, where I've had to try to, to explain, at least as I understood the situation, the request that they were making was not something that could necessarily occur or couldn't occur in the time frame they were looking at. On the other hand, sometimes it's just a case of somebody's talking to the wrong people, and redirecting that inquiry to the right person could get a better result. So it's going to be dependent really upon the specific type of conflict that we're talking about.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Simmons?
Big part of city business is contracts. And so I'm hoping you can describe a little bit of your experience, whether it be labor contracts, other contracts the city might enter into, your experience negotiating contracts.
Negotiating contracts, it happens all the time. So it's, in general, when you're approaching contract negotiations, I try to approach them from the perspective of we're always trying to protect the interests of the city here, but we are trying to really forge a kind of long-term relationship here, which means we're not trying to get one over them the same way that we're looking to make sure that we're not getting taken advantage of. As a practical matter, that requires attention to detail and also working with, frankly, the line departments who are generally going to be more subject matter experts in the area of the contract. I'm a lawyer. I'm egotistical enough to think I'm a pretty good lawyer, but I'm not, for example, an expert on water safety. I know enough to be dangerous, but like when it comes for something about water treatment or water safety, I'm going to be relying upon the staff in those departments to provide the expert knowledge in that area that I don't have. So,
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I don't have any questions at this time, but I want to thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate you taking the trip. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor?
Thank you very much, Sherry. I'd like to welcome you to Battle Creek also. I do not have any questions for you right now, so I look forward to working with you in the future. And we're going to probably deliberate here now.
Thank you, sir.
Does anybody else have any other questions? No? I will give you a few minutes if you want to kind of summarize, make a final pitch. I mean, you are interviewing us as well as we are interviewing you. So I appreciate the time that you've taken to be with us tonight, and I will let you have the final words here.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I guess I'd just like to say I'm very appreciative of the invitation to come and interview before the commission. Kind of as when the opportunity became publicized and aware, I did some of my own looking into the way that Battle Creek has been doing things, and reviewed a number of your commission meetings just to see kind of how, I guess, you all interacted with each other and addressed business that's before the commission. And I would hope that I would have your support. So.
Thank you. Mr. Kim has been in town all day today, meeting with senior staff, meeting with city attorneys. I mean, not that city attorney staff isn't senior staff, but meeting with various individuals, getting a tour. Either Rebecca or Jill, did you want to say anything about that experience today before we start talking?
Sure. So I was in on the senior staff meeting, and I think he was really able to answer everybody's questions. I think Commissioner Simmons I don't know if you saw it in his cover letter about his administrative hearing bureau that they have in the city of Flint. And, we met with my staff, and my staff all told me separately they felt relieved that he seemed to know what he's talking about. As I said, they said he's not you, but we think he would do just fine. So
I think I got very similar feedback from the senior leadership team. They got to meet with him for a good hour, and they felt like he understood the city lingo. Sometimes that can be very intimidating for somebody that isn't in the municipal world. So that was kind of nice feedback to hear. It's very difficult in a 1 hour greet to kind of judge someone's leadership or ability to be a leader. That's really for all of you. But they felt he was personable, approachable. And, even when he didn't quite understand or doesn't have the experience in a certain area, he said it, like I haven't worked in much with an airport as an example, something like that. So that's really the feedback I got overall, positive, and look forward to the commissioners considering him as well.
Commissioner
A question of staff. I understand that we have ongoing cases within the city. We can't necessarily discuss that with him. So if we were to offer to him or any other candidate, okay, your first day of the job, we lay that out. And do they know, or can we give them a general synopsis of these are kind of the nature of the cases that we have pending before us, and then how we think they might be able to deal with it without being overwhelmed on the first day?
Yeah, so I did share a little bit with him today about what's public record, what's been filed in the public. Depending on maybe a creative contract, maybe And if he were willing, like before his official start date of full-time, that maybe there could be something worked in it that he were an employee for purposes of, a few days to be able to get that confidential information and get on board. So, but we did talk a little bit about, given that Jonathan is leaving Friday, and he actually had a great idea of something, something to address that gap
Okay.
and what we would do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Ballard, do you want to, you had the first questions. Do you want to, what would you like to weigh in here? Or,
I would.
Okay. I thought you might have something to say.
I would suggest that I would like to introduce a motion to have a special meeting next week.
I think that we,
Want to wait?
yeah, I think that we
Okay.
probably need to have a little more conversation
That's fine.
So
first.
is my understanding, if we want to have further deliberations, that we move to have further deliberations,
Yeah.
putting that, and then set that forward.
Rebecca in here.
So does Commissioner Morris?
So from my perspective, I think that he is very qualified for this position based on the information we received. I feel like he did very well with answering the questions for our interview, so I'll be willing to support moving forward with this candidate.
Thank you.
Maybe I could help a little bit here. I think to kind of toss out there, the couple of options. Number one, you're either ready to move forward and someone would make a motion to authorize the mayor and the vice mayor to enter into contract negotiations with William Kim. If there were support for that, then you could discuss it and have a vote. If somebody else feels like you need more time and you want to do more investigating, then someone could motion to adjourn and consider something later and do more investigation. So I think those are the kind of two things that you might be looking at tonight.
I'd like to make them. Okay, Commissioner Reynolds?
Yeah. I would like to make a motion to give permission for mayor and vice mayor to move forward with further negotiations.
Contract
with
negotiations
Contract negotiations with.
for the position of city attorney for William Kim.
Attorney for the city of Battle Creek.
Support.
So motion by Commissioner Reynolds, support by Commissioner Simmons. Is there a discussion? Commissioner O'Donnell?
I know this has been a very unique process for all of us. I'd like to thank the vice mayor for coming together and making this all work out well. As we've discussed before, there's 9 of us here. We all have 9 different opinions and sometimes we're in quite good agreement with each other. And I applaud all of us for coming together and showing that we can actually get through this process quite well. So thank you, all commissioners.
I guess I'll say this. I've been through lots of interviews for lawyers. Our firm has had 70 lawyers, it seems, in the past 10 years. This attorney is presented well, but we just don't know, right? You just don't know. I'm not super thrilled with the process, with the time frame of all of it, but again, even if we have a long process, I've been through different processes where we had months and it still didn't work out. I would just say that I will support the approval of the negotiations, but we just need to be very cautious in our negotiations with attorneys because you typically don't know what happens until a few months into it. So that's all. But I'll support the candidate.
Thank you. Commissioner Ballard?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Got to bring back my memory here. So I'm in support of you making negotiations and bringing it back to us. What I wanted to say was I wanted the public to understand that this is the first time, and correct me if I'm incorrect, that in 30 years that we've gone outside of the city to hire an attorney in the past, the 30 years of attorneys being for the city have been hired from within. And I just wanted the public to know that. So.
Commissioner Simmons?
And as far as the process, Commissioner Lance did say, it was not the perfect process, but we chose as a body, the process has been going on for a few months now. We chose as a body to delegate the process. Michigan Municipal League helped us with putting out the criteria that we asked for. So there's a lot. If you're watching on TV and you say they only just interviewed one person, there have been behind the scenes many applications received, are vetting that with the criteria that we laid out, as well as and to refine it down to this point. So I'm comfortable with that work. Again, you never know until and then we always have processes built into our contracts going forward. If something doesn't work out, then those are options in the future for us. But I'm pleased with moving forward at this time. Thank you.
Any other commission comment, questions?
Sherry, I'd like to just make one more comment. I know that this has been a challenge for not only our community, but for other communities throughout Michigan. And I think this is a sign of the times. However, I was very impressed with the interview that we had with our applicant. I look forward to working with him. I know this isn't going to be easy replacing Jill, but no one's irreplaceable. We need to move ahead. And like Commissioner Lance said, sometimes you work for months to get a new employee, and sometimes it doesn't work out. But I'm sure that the mayor and the vice mayor and myself may be calling upon you for suggestions when it comes to the negotiations. So feel free to chime in if we call upon you. So I'm prepared to vote. It's up to the rest of the commission. I would ask that we vote a unanimous ballot for the hiring of William Kim as our next city attorney.